Hey, happy day, awesome Monday. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, also known as Pajama Grandma. Let's talk about the expression penny wise and pound foolish. And I'm going to argue that you shouldn't be penny wise and pound foolish when it comes to supersizing and growing your business. Now, this is of course a well-known proverb in England. It was well known by the early 1600s, and it means a pound, of course, is a unit of money in England, and a penny is another unit of money that's much smaller than a pound. So the expression means, be careful, or people that are careful with small amounts of money, but kind of reckless or careless with large amounts of money, or people that are kind of reckless and careless with little things and small decisions and small choices and small investments, but careless and rash and just off the wall with their bigger investments, their bigger amounts of money, the bigger decisions that they have to make in their lives. Now, I can think of so many examples in my life, not only of me, but of other people that have been close to me in my life, where we've been penny wise and pound foolish, both in personal situations, in relationships, in making decisions and choices. Where am I going to go to school? What am I going to major in? One of those people that changed my major like 12 times, and then I graduated with 3 degrees, but it took me longer than most people, but because I kept changing my mind. I do that in business too. I've been in at least 27 different businesses and industries, so I changed my mind a lot. But what I have learned is that a lot of that information is transferable, so it's okay to kind of change industries and change jobs and change businesses and follow what makes you happy and your trail of learning and growing to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. So, penny wise and pound foolish. What are some examples of this? I would say buying a luxury item when you don't have enough money to put food on the table or pay your bills, the mortgage, the rent, the electric bills. That's an example of being penny wise and pound foolish. I can think of a time when I first got my first job out of college, and I bought an RX-7. Now, an RX-7 might not sound extravagant, but I had rent for the first time. Well, not the first time, but the first time really out living by myself. Prior to that, I'd lived with my parents, I'd had roommates, I'd lived in different places, but for the most part, I was 100% responsible for my everything, all my expenses. And I wanted this RX-7, so I went out one day with the guy I was dating, and I bought an RX-7 just kind of on a whim, when I really didn't, I had enough money to pay for it, but I didn't have any side businesses, I didn't have any side gigs. All I had was my salary for my job, and I got paid once a month. And I made enough money to cover everything, but I was young, and we were partying, and we were making decisions that weren't always the best at that time. And so some months it was really tight at the end of the month when it came to groceries and things like that, because being paid once a month, I maybe didn't watch my pennies well enough at the beginning of the month. And so buying that car was really silly. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I had it for, a lot of years until my son was born. A year after my son was born, I finally got rid of that car. So I had it for 6-7 years, and I loved it, loved driving it. But it was kind of a foolish decision at the time I made that choice. So that would be an example of me being penny wise and pound foolish. In relationships, often we are penny wise and pound foolish. We'll nitpick, and we'll be really picky about who we date. And then after we haven't dated anybody for a while, we'll date some bozo who we're like, why am I dating this person? But we'll jump into a relationship, because we haven't had a relationship for a while. That is penny wise and pound foolish. In our businesses, oh my gosh, I have lots of examples of this where I would commiserate. I want to answer that, but I'm not going to. How long it took to do something, or what we were spending money or time or energy on, and we would commiserate over the minutes, only to waste hours and hours, or to jump into different things and projects that we would spend hours and hours on that would never come to fruition. They would never work out. I worked for one boss that had us do these what ifs. And we would stay up all night. We as adults would have to pull all-nighters to get all of these details ready for my boss so he could present them to his boss. And not a single one of them, after 3 years of doing that, ever came to fruition. And finally I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I will do the what if, but I'm not staying here all night to do it. So it was kind of a control thing. A lot of times penny wise and pound foolishness comes out of a sense of wanting to control things. Another example would be, my ex-husband used to go through the house all the time and tell us all, the kids and I, that we had to turn off lights because George Bush had called, and we had to turn off lights and conserve electricity. And then That would be on one hand every day. And then he would go out and he'd buy a luxury item like a motorhome or a luxury truck or a luxury vehicle or something, or he'd spend a bunch of money in the stock market. And so to me, that's an example of being penny wise and pound foolish. So I would love if you would share some examples of how this has played out in your life and in your business in the comments below so we can learn from one another. I'll think up a couple more examples of when I did this in my businesses, because I know I've done it, you know, in the past, where I would commiserate over a little thing and then I would jump into a new business opportunity with somebody. I would commiserate over how we should do something, and then another thing I would just decide instantaneously how and what we were going to do. But other things I would commiserate over these little bitty decisions, little vendor choices or things, only to find out that I would just jump into other things. So we do this as human beings. I guarantee the people you interact with, the people you work with, your employees, your business partners, your vendors, your sources, your suppliers, your customers, we all behave in penny wise and pound foolish ways at some time. And sometimes that's okay. I mean, have you ever signed up for a course or a coaching program, or signed up for a product or service that you absolutely positively never use? So you save your pennies and your P's and Q's, and you watch your resources in one area, but then all of a sudden you sign up for something because you're so excited about it, and then you never take action, you never follow through, and you never do it. I have to admit, I'm not usually like that. I don't invest my money, especially in my personal development and my education and coaching, if I'm not going to actually do it and use it. I'm trying to think of a course or thing like that I'm sure when I was younger I maybe did some of that and went to courses and went to events and then didn't use the information that I got out of there. That's kind of penny wise and pound foolish too, right? We commiserate over spending money at events, and then we go and we don't use the great things that we learned from them. Anyway, think of some examples, share them below. If I can help you in any way with what a certain expression means, share it in the comments below too, because I would love to look up and learn the history of something that would be important to you and your business growing. Have an awesome day. I'll of course be with you tomorrow.